This is Maury of Yasharal. Congratulations. If you celebrated with us the Pascha and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, you have returned. Here's your reward. YAUBALYAM. Jubilees, chapter 32, verse 19. And I will give to your seed. Whose seed? Jacob, all the earth which is under heaven. And they shall judge all the nations according to their desires. And after that, they shall get possession of the whole earth and inherit it forever. Who's the seed? Look to the right. There they are, on the walls in Egypt, the children of Yasharal. Let's begin. YAUBALYAM. You would say Jubilees, chapter 32, 1-5. 1. And he abode that night at Bethel. Who's he? Jacob. And Levi, his name is Luya, dreamed that they had ordained and made him the priest, the Kahan, of the Most High Alayam. Look at that. The definite article. There's many Alayam, extensions of his arm, but there's one who's above the rest. He who is seated upon the throne. We're going to see what his name is. And Luya, him, and his sons were ordained to be priests forever. And he woke from his sleep, and he blessed the name that is above all names, the Most High Alayam, Yahuwah. 2. And Jacob rose early in the morning on the 14th of this Hadash, and he gave a tithe of all that came with him, both of men and cattle, both of gold and every vessel and garment. Yes, he gave tithes of everything. 3. And in those days Rahel became pregnant with her son, Banyaman. Remember, he wouldn't be born in Haran, but in Canaan. They have just arrived in Canaan. And Jacob counted his sons from him upwards, and Luya fell to the portion of Yahuwah. Luya belongs to Yah. They're his tribe. They represent him. Look at the name. It even tells the story. La, shepherd. Wa, secured. Yah, an arm stretched forth, deliverance. The shepherd secured by Yah. And his father clothed him in the garments of the priesthood, the Kahan, and filled his hands. All of these items that he gave went to Luya. 4. And on the 15th of this Hadash, hold it 1 second. Don't these numbers sound familiar? The 14th day in the evening goes directly into the 15th day. Is this Passover? No. This Hadash is not in the first month. This Hadash is the 7th month. He brought to the altar 14 oxen from amongst the cattle, 28 rams, 49 sheep, 7 lambs, 21 kids of the goats, as a burnt offering, on the altar of sacrifice, well-pleasing for a sweet savor, before thee, the definite article, thee, Alayam, the Most High Alayam, his name is Yahuwah. 5. This was his offering, in consequence of the vow which he had vowed that he would give 1/10, with the fruit offerings and their drink offerings. You know this vow. When he had left Haran, he was on his way to Canaan, and he prayed and he vowed to Yahuwah, if you would deliver me from mine enemies, mainly my brother, surely I would give you 1/10 of all that I have. Here, he's fulfilling that vow. 6. And when the fire had consumed it, he burned incense on the fire and over the fire, and for a thank offering, 2 oxen, 4 rams, 4 sheep, 4 he-goats, 2 sheep of a year old, 2 kids of the goats, and thus he did daily for 7 days. 7. And he and all his sons and his men were eating with joy during the 7 days, and blessing and thanking Yahuwah, who had delivered him out of all his tribulation, and he had given him his vow. Every feast is a celebration. It trumps anything that the Gentiles have created. 8. And he tithed all the clean animals, and made a burnt sacrifice, but the unclean animals he gave not to Luyah his son. Hold it 1 second. Let's correct this translation, because the children of Yasharal did not have unclean animals. But what they did have was those with spots, blemishes, and that were lame. But the ones with spots and blemishes and the ones that were lame he gave not to Luyah his son, and he gave him all the souls of the men. He gave him servants. Luyah is truly rich. 9. And Luyah discharged the priestly office at Bethel before Jacob, his father, in a preference to his 10 brothers. And he was a priest there, the Kahan, and Jacob gave his vow. Thus he tithed again the tithe to Yahuwah, and sanctified it, and it became holy unto him. 10. And for this reason it is ordained on the heavenly tablets. Can you change it? As a law for the tithing, again the tithe to eat before Yahuwah from year to year. Where? In the place where it is chosen that his name should dwell, not just anywhere. And to this law there is no limit of days forever. How long is forever? Till heaven and earth pass away. 11. This ordinance is written that it may be fulfilled from year to year in eating the second tithe before Yahuwah, in the place where it has been chosen, and nothing shall remain over from it from this year to the following year. Hold it 1 second. At Passover, you were supposed to eat in the place where he put his name. You were to roast the lamb on the fire, and before the morning, you were to take all of the residue, burn it on the fire, nothing shall remain of it. Here, we're speaking about the 7th month, the 7th Hadash feast. It said nothing shall remain from it from this year to the following year. 12. For in its year shall the seed be eaten, till the days of the gathering of the seed of the year, and the wine to the days of the wine, and the oil to the days of its season. 13. And all that is left thereof becomes old. Let it be regarded as polluted. Let it be burnt with fire, for it is unclean. You cannot take the bounty that you received last year into the next year. You have to eat it all in 1 year. Why? He's going to give you a fresh bounty the next year. How is that possible? He controls the elements. 14. And thus, let them, who's them? The children of Yasharal, eat it together in the sanctuary, and let them not suffer it to become old. 15. And all the tithes of the oxen and sheep shall be holy, set apart unto Yahuwah, and shall belong to his priest, the Kahan, which they shall eat before him from year to year. For thus is it ordained and engraven regarding the tithe. on the heavenly tablets. You cannot change it or alter it in any way. I understand we're living in the land of demons and devils, the lawless people. We are returning to the law. You have to follow instructions exactly. He does not accept any alteration of his ways. 16. And on the following night, on the 22nd day of this Hadash, Yaakov resolved to build that place. Hold it 1 second. The 22nd day of this Hadash? Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Did I not show you all of these numbers on Brother Kuya's calendar? The 22nd day is our regular weekly Shabbat. The 22nd day after the Feast of Unleavened Bread is considered to be the 8th day. Did he build something on that day, on the Shabbat day? No, he resolved to build that place. You know, he thought it out in his mind. And to surround the court with a wall. And to sanctify it and make it holy, set apart forever for himself and for his children after him. 17. And Yahuwah appeared to him by night and blessed him and said unto him, Your name shall not be Yaakov, but Yasharal shall be your name. You know this story. It's in Torah. Yeah. Remember, Yaakov wrestled with God in the translation of the Gentiles. Under God is YAUBALYAM. Yaakov wrestled with one of the representatives of Yahuwah. Yeah. I don't like the word wrestled. Why? Because you start thinking WWE, like he's jumping off the ropes with an elbow. No, nothing like that. He probably grabbed his arm and he says, I'm not going to let go of you until you bless me. And look at the blessing. Gave him a name that is above all names. Yasharal should be your name, not Israel. What does Israel mean? Ishtar, Ra and El, Isis, Ra and El. We don't know what that means, but Yasharal we know. The prefix is Yasha, salvation. You see the R on the pictograph. It's the head of a man. What man do you think that is? There's his name right there. Yaakov. Last 2 letters is all. Strong shepherd. Let's put it together. Salvation to Yaakov, the strong shepherd. You're going to turn something like this down to call yourself Israel? 18. And he said unto him again, I am Yahuwah. He put his seal, his name on this. Who created the heaven and earth? I can change your name. And I will increase you, only you, and multiply you exceedingly. And kings shall come from you, and they shall judge everywhere the foot of the sons of men has trodden. What a powerful edict. 19. And I will give your seed all the earth which is under heaven. He's speaking of the promised land. That is the one that his eye is upon. It is the one where he has set his stamp. It is where we shall rule and reign with our king forever. And they shall judge all the nations according to their desires. We will remember what you have done to us. And after that, after all of our enemies have been eliminated from the earth, they, who is they, the children of Yasharal, shall get possession of the whole earth and inherit it forever. Only the ones who have returned, not the lawless ones. He's not looking for the rest. He's looking for the best. 20. And he finished speaking with him. And he went up from him, And Jacob, whose name was changed to Yasharal, looked till he had ascended into heaven. What was he looking at? Some guy floating up in the sky? He was looking at a ship, a chariot, a spaceship. What is it? UAP or something they say now? How do we know it was a ship? There was a ladder came down. Remember the story? Jacob's ladder. He saw the YAUBALYAM descending and ascending up the ladder. When the ladder went up, the ship rose up in the sky, and Jacob watched as it disappeared. 21. And he saw in a vision of the night, and behold, a malach, an angel, descended from heaven with 7 tablets in his hands. And he gave them to Jacob, whose name was changed to Yasharal. And he read them and knew all that was written therein, which would befall him and his sons throughout all the ages. This must have been very grievous. He saw the Messiah hung on a tree. He saw us in this 400-year captivity. 22. And he showed him all that was written on or about the land of Egypt, and said unto him, do not build in this place, you know, the place where he resolved, and do not make it an eternal sanctuary. Why? Just don't dwell here, for this is not the place. Go to the house of Abraham, your father, and dwell with Yitzhak, your father, until the day of the death of your father, Yitzhak. 23. For in Egypt you shall die in peace, and in this land you shall be buried with honor in the sepulchre of your fathers, with Abraham and Yitzhak. I created a video series for their violence against their brother Jacob. Everything you need to know about this journey from the land of Egypt back to the land of Canaan is in that series. 24. Fear not, for as you have seen and read it, thus shall it be. And do you write down everything as you have seen and read. 25. And Jacob, whose name was changed to Yasharal, said, Master, how can I remember all that I have read and seen? And he said unto him, I will bring all things to your remembrance. Remember, this is the promise from Yahusha, HaMashiach. He was going to send the Comforter back for us, the Ruah, and it would bring all things back to our remembrance. How do you think that the memory of the path of years came back to me, and when I relay it to you, it triggered something in your mind, and you said, this is what I've been looking for all of my life. 26. And he went up from him, and he awoke from his sleep, and he remembered everything which he had read and seen, and he wrote down all the words which he had read and seen. 27. And he celebrated there yet another day, and he sacrificed thereon according to all that sacrificed on the former days. So that was 7 days he sacrificed. Then he created another day. Well, he was told to create another day. What is it called? Addition. For this day was added, and the former days he called the feast. Here, let me give you an example. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. Then comes another day, the Sabbath. We call it what? The 8th day. What did they call it here? The addition. Where did he get it from? 28. And thus it was manifested that it should be. And it is written on the heavenly tablets. It's on the heavenly tablets? The addition? The 8th day? Wherefore it was revealed to him by who? The YAUBALYAM, that he should celebrate it, and add it to the 7 days of the feast. Now do you see? 29. And its name was called addition. What do we call it? The 8th day? Because that it was and is recorded on the heavenly tablets amongst the days of the feast days. There's 3 main feasts per year, according to the number of the days of the year. Passover, 7 days you're to eat unleavened bread. Then on the 8th day, the addition, it's also called the Sabbath. You are to celebrate that day as your regular weekly Shabbat. Then the day after that Sabbath, you brought a sheaf to the priest. Addition. The Feast of Weeks. 7 Shabbats must be complete. 7 weeks must be complete. 7 weeks equals 49 days. On the 7th week, you count 6 working days. You come to your Shabbat. Then the day after that Shabbat, you are to add 1 day, the addition, the 8th day. There's your feast. Here we are here in the Feast of Tabernacles, in the 7th Hadash of the year. 7 days you are to celebrate it. Then you're to add a day, an addition, and you are to tithe again on the addition on the 8th day. And in Leviticus, it is actually called the 8th day of the feast. We're not in kindergarten anymore. If you want me to teach you, just stay with me. You can't be all over the place. 30. And in the night, on the 23rd of this Hadash, hold it 1 second. Here's another number. I showed you this on Brother Kuya's calendar. The 23rd. Yeah. You know, like Passover on the 21st in the evening was the 7th day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. You went directly into the 22nd day, which is your regular weekly Sabbath. Then the day after the Shabbat, which was the 23rd day, look what happened here. Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and he buried her beneath the city under the oak of the river. And he called the name of this place the river of Deborah, and the oak of the morning of Deborah. She must have been special that they actually wrote about her. 31. And Rebekah, hold it 1 second. This is my favorite person in the whole book. If I can only have a wife like her, I know that myself, my children, and my family will be secured. And Rebekah went and returned to her house to his father, Yitzhak. She went home to her husband. And Jacob, whose name was changed to Yasharal, sent by her hands rams and sheep and he-goats, that she should prepare a meal for his father, such as he desired. What do you think that meal was? Curry goat. 32. And he went after his mother till he came to the land of Kabatan, and he dwelt there. Okay, let me change this around a little bit. They were on the road coming back to the house of Yitzhak. But Jacob, whose name was changed to Yasharal, had to make a detour. Why? 33. And Rahel, who was pregnant, her water broke. They had to pull to the side of the road, find lodging. There, she bore a son in that night. She called his name the son of my sorrow, for she suffered in giving him birth. But his father called his name Banyaman. On the 11th of the 8th month, in the first of the 6th week of this Jubilee, 2143. 34. And Rahel died, a second mom. She went through so much to please her husband, to give him children. And Rahel died there, and she was buried in the land of Aparat, the same as Bethlehem. And Jacob, whose name was changed to Yasharal, built a pillar on the grave of Rahel. I can see him mourning there. This ripped his heart from his chest. And he built this pillar on the road above her grave. There's something else here I want you to see. Look at the date. 2143. Do you see it? How many of you can see it? They're in Canaan. They haven't gone into Egypt yet. Remember, on the walls in Egypt, there was a date above Aharon's head. And I said it was a date. 2215. I ran that number. I had a surplus of 19 days, to reach 2215 from here. See, we don't count like the Gentiles. The Gentiles count down from the time of Adam to what they say the time of their Christ. And the time starts counting up from the time that they said that their Christ came all the way up to now. We don't count that way. We count straight up. So I had 19 days surplus. I'm still seeking it out, if I can find those 19 days. But I believe it might be in this phrase here, on the 11th of the 8th month, in the first of the 6th week of this Jubilee. I believe the time would be right there. Brother Xavier, this is a magnificent find. He goes line by line. He works hard, and he reveals these things to me, and then I reveal them to you. What you're actually seeing here, brothers and sisters, is that you're seeing that Mr. White is an exorbitant liar, and he is an identity thief. He stole our identity, and he told you that the Exodus happened in the 15th century, but the scripture tells you something totally different, and the evidence agrees with the same. Shalom.